I am Sergio. I am in charge of supply at Klabin, and we are going to talk about co-creation in the procurement department, co-creation and transformation in that department. So for us to tackle this subject, it would be good for us to list some of the important pillars for procurement. So when we talk about procurement, we talk about risk and compliance, disruption in the supply, auditable and transparent processes, sustainability. We also talk about the resilience of the supply chain and new sources of supply. And we talk about a lot of the aspects that are really important, which include agility, quick analysis and decision making, assertive decision making, and the main thing, which is cost. The reduction of cost itself, as well as negotiation and renegotiation, and the cost that is related to operating efficiency. And as part of those two topics, agility and cost, there is one important point, which is the relationship between Klabin and Smart. We are talking to Guilherme from Smart and JOSÉ Maria, who works in the corporate procurement department at Klabin. So why is this important? In the procurement process, we have numerous factors to consider, and in this chain there is a very important bond. After you buy, after you do a proper negotiation, you have to make sure the material gets there. That's when monitoring comes in. That's when the follow-up comes in. And this is a process that takes a lot of energy. And sometimes there's not a lot of results because it's a grueling process. It involves making calls, having contact. So we always think about how to fast track and automate the monitoring process for procurement. And then Guilherme, along with us, alongside Smart, he came on board to co-create this process with us. And side by side, we are fast tracking this process. So Guilherme, we are really happy with what we have done and the results. What about your perspective from the Smart point of view? What is the process like? Thank you, Sergio. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you once again for the opportunity of being here. Now, before we get into that experience, which was quite fantastic from a Smart perspective, it's great to be participating in this digital transformation and innovation process with Klabin. So I'll introduce myself, talk about Smart, and then I'll talk about this very good experience we had. My name is Guilherme Duarte. I am founder and CEO at Smarty. I come from a corporate background. I worked for over 15 years as a business executive in different sectors like the automotive industry, telecom, and especially on technology and innovation. So I have this background, and with that, in our DNA, in my DNA as an entrepreneur, as well as Smart's DNA as a company, we founded this company Smart with this hunger, with this eagerness to impact the market and to have a social economic impact on groups, entities, and companies. So we created Smart with that objective, and basically we are a digital startup. We are lean and agile. We work with this model, and we are used to solving corporate pains of our customers with intelligent and smart automation for manual repetitive labor. Just like Sergio said, we produce efficiency, cost reduction, and compliance to a process. This is a very parameter-centric process. It doesn't make mistakes, so we are able to be very spot on. This is a continuous improvement. It's not only a solution. 3 years ago, to speak a little bit about our experience, we participated in one of the first innovation projects with Klabin, and I can talk about this moment, which was very important to us. We were just pivoting the solution. We came from that segment. We started with logistics, and we were just pivoting around, and we were getting into the industrial market. So we came across Klabin, and I can go on and on about the company. I mean, there are so many positive aspects. It was a fantastic experience, but I can highlight two main aspects in my experience, in terms of the connection with Klabin. The fourth point, which I think it's the most relevant to this conversation, was the break in the paradigm. We really broke the paradigm of a startup in this new segment by catering to a major industrial player, which is Klabin. And in the same token, this paradigm that Klabin broke is that it opened up the doors for a startup to solve some real pains. So that's the first point, you know, it was an added value, it was an exchange of experience, which was great. And the second point that I can bring as a gain in this relationship, it was a win-win between Smart and Klabin, was the engagement that we had. You know, we had a huge engagement from the start. All the procurement department led by José Maria here was great. I remember this quote that was really striking to me in the project. You know, after all the immersion that we had, we experienced the pain alongside procurement. We were in the facilities of Klabin. We immersed ourselves in that problem, and the reflection was really outstanding. And when we delivered the pilot 3 years ago, it's been 3 years now, for 3 years we've been generating some efficiencies together. And one quote really struck me from a stakeholder. It was by the time we were delivering the project, that person said, Guilherme, besides this pilot, we would like to have other improvements because we want to leave a legacy in Klabin. That was really impactful to me. You know, it still is to this day. That quote was really strong in my view, and we have been struggling, we have been fighting to leave this legacy. So I think it's really great to have this engagement from Klabin. They are living that innovation and wanting to transform, and all of that with technology, expertise, and all this intelligence layer that we brought to the follow-up process for all the suppliers. And we are doing this automatic monitoring, producing intelligence. And now we are speaking about engagement and legacy. So I would like to hand it over to José Maria, who was a part of it. So, José, what do you think? Are we really building this legacy? Hello, Guilherme. Good afternoon. Hello, Sergio. Yes, indeed. It was a great differential for us to be a part of this project because we felt that pain firsthand. We had to remove orders via spreadsheet. You know, we had to do that manually. We had to send it to each and every supplier via email. So it was a very, very laborious process. And the frequency of that activity was quite high. You know, it was part of our routine. And with that, we couldn't really be as productive as we could because we had to perform this follow-up activity constantly. So it got to the point where we said, look, we cannot do business this way. You know, we cannot go on like that. We need something different. We need something to perform this activity in a more optimized way, so we can further reduce our follow-up index, because in the traditional methods that we were going about in our operation, we were not getting good results. So we got to that point. It became stagnated, and we couldn't make any advancements anymore. We couldn't reduce the index that we had to. So with that tool, we are no longer dependent on the analysts or the procurer. They don't have to send all the information to the supplier. So today we have a tool that does this automatically. Every week, the information is sent to the suppliers. It is done automatically, so I don't have to log into my order base. I don't have to manually write an email and send it to the supplier. So the suppliers get the order information every week. It is up to date. So suppliers go into their portal, they answer all of the positions, all the deliveries of the orders. They can put observations. They can make a copy of the invoice. They can inform the reason for a potential delay. So with this database, suppliers are able to have an overview of all the pending orders with Klabin. So you don't have that situation where you are depending on the supplier. Oh, what about this order? You know, I didn't input that on the system. I didn't know that there was a part of the order that was pending. So now they have this information. Every week we send all the up-to-date information, and most importantly, This report lets the supplier know at that point in time, at that date, if there is a pending item. And if there is a pending item, the supplier knows what is the fine that will incur because of that delay. So that really jumps to the supplier's eyes, because they know right then and there that they might be penalized. They might have to pay a delay fine. So that also stresses their commitment, and that makes them more committed to make sure that they can prevent delays, prevent fines. And for us, we don't have any downtime in our machinery, because oftentimes there is a part or a product that we are procuring that has a crucial role, and the price is so small comparing to having a downtime in the whole machinery. So the follow-up activity is really crucial, and we have reached a point where we couldn't lower our index, and that tool really contributes to that. The suppliers at the time, the ones that we started working with this tool, and the ones we started sending this report every week, we had a very positive feedback from them. So that's why we continue to use this tool, and we made it official. Now we use this platform all the time. And that doesn't eliminate our work. We still have to keep tabs with the supplier. We have to stay in touch to make sure that they are engaged and committed, so they can meet our demands. Now, there is one other point that brought some optimization to us. This feedback from the supplier, every day we get this information back, and it goes straight on the SAP software. So we don't have to sit and wait for an email from the supplier, open up that email, copy it, open the order on SAP, Control-V it. We don't have to copy the information to know when the expected delivery date is. So the information goes both ways. Both the inbound and outbound information is now automatic. Our work is basically to make sure that the suppliers are engaged and in tune with the platform, and step by step we are achieving this. One thing that we do have to do constantly with suppliers is to keep them engaged. And this engagement, unfortunately, it only comes when they feel it in their pocket. So with this tool, we now can send some bimestral reports to our suppliers, and we have all of the consolidated base, all the orders that were delayed, for example, in that bimester. So irrespective of the procurer's work, the system itself generates this report, and we send this report straight to the supplier. And then if there are any penalties, if there are any discounts or fines, that gets applied right away, and suppliers know exactly which items were in delay that incurred this penalty. So yeah, it's been really helpful, and we are trying to get that engagement high. So that's my side, that's what I wanted to share. Thank you for the invite, and now I'll hand it over to Sergio for the final comments. We are always working again to improve our processes, to make sure that we have as little follow-up as possible. Thank you, José. Thank you for the explanation. Thank you for letting us know how the process works. Thank you, Guilherme, for sharing your point of view of how that development happened. And that's the outcome of a project that involved innovation, that involved betting on something new. A startup is something new to Klabin, but we saw the value, we bet on it, and now we are reaping the rewards. So thank you so much, José Maria. Thank you, Guilherme, and thank you, everyone.